So she's back in the house. We break up for the last time. I move away. And at this time, man, we've been together for 7 years. The last 5 to 4 years of our relationship was completely toxic. Arguments all the time. And it didn't seem like she didn't want to put an end to it. So I had to physically put an end to it and separate myself from her. Not what I wanted to do, but what I had to do. Or I would be in jail. Because she was literally driving me crazy. Like, I didn't know if I could control myself anymore. Like, I don't know how much more I could hold back. This lady slapping me in my face, expecting me not to hit her back, yelling in my face. Like, I was raised to not put your hands on women. But I also have 4 sisters, and they were raised to not put your hands on men. So I was in this gray area. I didn't know what to do. So I had to do what I knew, was to survive and get out. So after that, she started playing these games about letting me see my son. She wouldn't let me see him. So that was an argument over the phone. Wouldn't let me see him. And one day she called me out of the blue saying that she needed me to pay her rent. And in my mind, I'm like, well, shit, when I was there paying the rent, you did not appreciate me in the slightest. You didn't appreciate me at all. So now that I'm gone, you want me to pay your rent, but you won't even let me see my kid? So I told her no. A week later, the police showed up to where I was staying and served me with child support papers. Alright? So now we're in child support court, and I'm making good money. So I'm like, well, okay, well, we're in court. I can show, I can get, I'll sign whatever I need to sign. Because I'm thinking, hey, child support, that means I'm going to be able to see my kid now. No, the courts are separated. So child support only strictly deals with money. That's it. They don't deal with if the child is in a good situation or not. That's family court. So by the time I figured that out, months had passed. And all the time I'm trying to get my child support reduced because it was $1,000 a month for child support at that time. So I was falling behind, and I was trying to appeal to her, saying, hey, listen, I don't have the amount of money. I still got some money to send you, but I don't have $1,000 this month, and I'm falling behind, and I'm accruing debt. Could you please call down there and allow them to lower my child support? She would not do that. She wouldn't. Every time I reached out to her about child support or about seeing my kid, she would be completely nasty. You know why? Because she had all the power at this point. She had the power legally at this point. And child support is not a system that checks the mother and sees if they're, spending the money on the child, if the child's in a good situation. They don't care about that. All they care about is putting that other parent on child support. And I just couldn't understand. As time went on, I started understanding more and more about about family court system, right? So eventually I found out that family court pays for the Attorney General's office for them to be able to prosecute criminals in the state. They get a allotment from federal, from the feds. So that, something like, I'm not sure exactly, but the ratio is like for every $2 collected in child support, maybe 60 cents of that goes to the child. The rest of it goes to judges' retirement funds and stuff like that. Look it up. It's real. So I'm learning all of this. I'm trying to say, hey, you got me on child support for $1,000, but you only getting $600. You're only getting a little bit. Why not I'm willing to give you money, but let's take it out of the courts. We can handle this on our own. She is unwilling to have any conversation. So during this time, 4 years have passed. I have not gotten a chance to see my son on a consistent basis. I might get once in a while, but she was definitely keeping him away from me. I was trying to hunt her down so that I could serve her with family court papers so that I can get something called visitation. And, you know, I knew she was staying in Columbia. She had moved out of the place that she was in Charlotte because she couldn't afford it. So she moved back to Columbia. So I knew her parents' address because once upon a time I was a bum and I lived with her and her parents. Was not proud of it. Still am not proud of it today. But that wasn't my, that wasn't all I am. You know what I mean? Like, I aspire to be more, even when I was living with her parents. But she couldn't see that. But anyway, so I'm sending the, what's that deputy that serves paper? I'm sending this guy to her parents' address. Her parents are telling the deputy they don't know where she is. They haven't been in contact with her. I know this is a lie. I know it because she depends heavily on her parents to take care of my son when she wants to go out and have fun, So I know it's a lie. I don't know what school he goes to. So eventually, finally, after 4 years, the civil service guy finally finds her at the parents' house and serves her the paper to meet me in Columbia courtroom for visitation hearing. She does not show up. So it was an uncontested visitation. I asked the judge right then and there, I said, she doesn't even bother to show up. Can't you just grant me custody? He said, if this was a custody hearing, yes, I would, but you filed for visitation. And I said, well, can you give me the paperwork so that I can file for custody? And get this, in the state of South Carolina, you cannot represent yourself without an attorney. They won't allow you to represent yourself without an attorney. The clerk of courts does not have a generic custody paperwork form that you can fill out and file to get a hearing. They don't have that. So I had to deal with saving money to try to, hire a lawyer. But then all the time I'm doing that, like let's say I save $700. Well, because I'm behind on child support, they got the right to go into my savings and take all my money out. And that's what they did. This would happen several times, where I would just be close enough to put a down payment on a lawyer, and then boom, my money's gone. So now I got visitation, right? The judge gave me visitation. I don't have custody, but the judge gave me visitation. At this point, I had moved back from Charlotte, back to Columbia, and I was 10 minutes away from my son, right? I had my own place, 10 minutes away. She wouldn't let me see him extra time. Like I had every other weekend and the first 6 weeks of the summer and split up holidays, right? She was not trying to give me any extra time at all. Like she was going to stick to that schedule. So, while all of this is going on, I'm still being charged for child support. Now, sometimes I would pay, sometimes I wouldn't. It wasn't because, if I didn't pay, it wasn't because I didn't want to, it's because I didn't have the money to pay. So I was trying to help in other ways. Like, hey, drop him off over here for, you could drop him off over here for a week. I could take him to school for a week, pick him up, spend time with him, and we could do that, alternate weeks. She didn't want to do that. And then one day in 2020 or 2021, she asked me for a favor. She said, hey, can your son come stay with you for 3 months? I gotta go to the West Coast. And at that point I said, hell yeah, he can come stay with me. I was excited, but I wasn't stupid. I said, listen, he can come stay with me, but does that mean you're gonna pause the child support, and that way I can keep that money to take care of him? And I said I would not agree to this unless you do that, and she agreed to it. So after about a week of her being gone, I'm like, hey, they still taking this out of my check. Can you send it back to me? And she said, I'll think about it. So there's nothing much I can do at this point, because she already left them with me, and she's getting child support. So I went down to the food stamp office to try and file for food stamps, and they told me they couldn't give me food stamps because he's already on somebody else's account. And I said, well, if he's on his mother's account, she's on the West Coast, and he's been living with me for the last month and a half. She said she's going to be gone for 3 months. Can't you just give me something to help me out until she gets back? And that's what they did. They took him off of her food stamps, made me an account, and gave me food stamps for a couple of months. Well, when that happened, she came running back to South Carolina within a week when she found out that her food stamps was off. So it seems to me that she was getting child support money, not spending it on the child. She was getting food stamps. I don't know if she left the food stamps with her mother or whatever, but either way, the food stamps money was not going to our son, So she came running back to make sure she could keep her food stamps. Right? During that time, I was trying my best to get custody. I was able to use my FAFSA money, because I was in school, use my FAFSA money to pay a down payment on a lawyer so that I could file for custody. So then the lawyer took my money and was like, hey, this is a slam dunk case. I can make this happen. As the lawyer kind of dragged her feet. And as this is happening, nothing is happening. Like, I don't know if the lawyer ever filed. Like, we never had a hearing. The lawyer started telling me all this stuff that we had to do before we would even be granted a hearing, right? I would have to get a guardian ad litem. The guardian ad litem, I showed her all the text messages that I kept. I don't know if she ever read them, because if she did, I would have custody right now. So I stopped trusting the guardian ad litem that I'm paying. Also, the lawyer said that we needed mediation before we would ever be able to get a chance to have a hearing. So I'm trying to schedule her for a mediation that she won't show up to. She wouldn't show up to mediation. That's money out of my pocket. Luckily, the guardian ad litem refunded me my money once I fired my lawyer, because my lawyer couldn't even remember if I had a son or a daughter. She kept referring to my son as your daughter. And, that just kind of blew me. It was like, wow, you went from taking my $1,750 to telling me that it's a slam dunk case, we can have this taken care of in a week, to telling me we gotta get a guardian ad litem, or you gotta get mediation, to not even knowing if I have a son or a daughter. So I fired her for that. And she was all, telling me that she's friends with my kid's mother's attorney. They have lunch together and stuff like this. So I'm not trusting it at all. It just seems like a big money scam. So I fired her, and I kind of gave up on getting custody, because, I mean, what can I do? If I'm hiring a lawyer to fight another lawyer in court, but you find out that they're friends, I mean, that seems like an obvious conflict of interest. So you start being weary that all lawyers are this way. This is in South Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina, by the way, Richland County. So all of this is going on. She comes back. I don't have custody, so I have to give him up. So he goes back and stays with his mother. In the meantime, she's doing all this mean stuff to him. One time she cut his head bald. I got it on camera. She, and I'm a barber. I cut hair. Professional at that time. So, I'm giving him his haircuts, and I guess she was trying to get back at me and cut his hair bald. My son's crying, walking around here with a bald head, with no line up, just looking like shit. And, the things she does to me to try to get back at me. Now, out of all of this time, I could have been a crazy ex and been stalking her and doing all this crazy stuff. I didn't do it. I'm black. She's white. I know how that's going to turn out. Poorly. She's a woman. I'm a man. Take color out of it. I know it's going to turn out poorly, right? So I just don't do it. So I'm just taking shit on top of shit to this very day. If you read our messages, I might post these messages on YouTube. I'm at my wit's end. But if you read through these messages, you can see from 2017 to 2025, she has not changed the way she talks to me. And, one day she'll say she wants to co-parent. Then I start making suggestions she don't agree with. And she, I'm all of a sudden, I'm a piece of shit. I'm a bad dad. And go pay your child support. That's her favorite thing. Pay your child support. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. What do you need the money for? Tell me what you need the money for, and I'll pay it. Because she's living with her mother. She's not paying. I know for a fact that her mother's house is paid off. So she's living with her mother. She's not paying any serious bills. I need to know what my money's going to. What do you need $1,000 a month for? Like, the boy don't need $1,000 a month. What does he need it for? So, after a while of going through that, I finally said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not giving you another dime. I know it's against the court order, but I'm saying this in hopes that, she tries to get me in a show cause hearing so that I can show the judge the messages between us. Because at this point, I just want to be in front of a judge so that I can show them the messages between her and I, and let them, if they say, hey, you're wrong, I'll take it. But if they look at these messages and truly read them, I believe my son will be living with me right now. So I'm betting all my cards on that. So we've been going through this for 13 years. My son is 13 years old now. It seems like it just never ends, man. It just never ends. I don't want to be that guy that gets on the internet, boo, woe is me, my life sucks. Fuck that. I don't want to be that guy, but god damn. If something happens to me, like I get locked up for non-payment of child support or something like that, I need this story to be out there. I do. Because it's two sides to every story. Family court only entertains one side. Child support court only entertains the filee's side. They won't even listen to the father's side. If you tell them, hey, I can't pay this amount, they say, well, who cares? Find a way to pay it. They don't want to hear about your bills that you got. They don't want to hear about it. They don't want to hear that you are trying to pay your mortgage. They don't care. They're not asking the mother what bill she has. They're just arbitrarily making you give away money. So here I am, 37 years old. My license was suspended at the beginning of last month. and I had to pay money for that to get it back. I had to pay child support and pay money for that to get it back. So she knows she's in full and total control. She says that she's never going to take me off child support, and that it's going to always be this way. And when I look around, these kids is growing up in fucked up situations. This is why. This is why. The family court system is allowing women, and sometimes men, but mostly women, who have zero respect for men, to raise men and to raise daughters to not have any respect. You cannot tell a child that half of him is evil, half of him is bad. He's going to start hating himself. He's going to believe that half of him is bad. So what do you do? All right, what do you do in that situation? Y'all, please leave some comments and stuff, man, so I can get some feedback. I know everybody's not gonna be on my side on this, and that's cool. I'll read the comments. I'll put myself out there. If I see that majority of the comments have like common sense to it, then I'll drop some text messages and keep it going. All right, but then there must be a change, man. There must be a change, or else we're all doomed. This is one of the main reasons why people don't want to have kids no more, because the family court has destroyed the nuclear family. They incentivize mothers to give up on their families, to go and chase their dreams. But what they don't realize is once you have a kid, your dreams are over. That's how I look at it. Once I have a kid, all my dreams of, whatever, they're done. My only focus is now on the kid. And it's hard to make something out yourself when you got somebody chopping your legs from up under you at all times, lying on your name, got you in the court system, lying on you, telling them people that you're this and that, when it's not true. And how can you clear your name if you can't even file for a family court hearing in the state of South Carolina without a lawyer? And how can you get a lawyer if every time you save money, child support comes and takes that money out your savings account? So I just need some help. Anybody know a good lawyer in South Carolina who's willing to let me make payments after results? Please feel free to reach out to me. Leave the name in the comments. Thank you for listening, man.